Ladies, I would like to download the two files in week 8. And I would make, if you haven't done already, just wherever you're working, make a American Life 2025 folder and just put all that stuff in there so it's in one place. Okay, American Life. I need to download stuff. Okay, they're going to end up in, I'm dragging those two American Life buildings. Well, I made a folder on the desktop called American Life, and so these two guys, there's that, and there's that. Okay. If you've been using that Imperial multidiscipline template, that comes with more levels than we have any need for. It comes with more sheets. I mean, it has sheets for plumbing, it has sheets for HVAC, it has sheets for, I don't know, electrical wiring details. We don't need that. And I would like to start our Revit using the commercial template, which you can pick over here at the very top, which has got just a couple of levels, a couple of sheets, but it has all the things we need in it. It's got curtain walls, it's got columns like that. So we sort of picked that. So I'm using commercial. Let's say open. Okay. Okay, so what we have here are 4 previously set up elevation views for a building that's going to have in here somewhere. With a family at the center of your crosshairs in plan, that's the point where when you're placing the thing in plan, that's where you're using sort of the center point as a location for that when you're placing it in the room. The Revit model as a whole has an origin point like that. That's used, for instance, if you're placing a bunch of buildings on a site plan, you would be placing it like from the center of the building. And so what I want to do is to be able to get, when we put our AutoCAD drawing here to trace from, I want to make sure that it's right in the center of things. So if we were going to give this drawing to a surveyor or a site engineer or something, he'd be able to locate it reliably. Anyway, so what I want to do is find out the exact middle of this place. And Revit drawings do have an origin. And if we go to the site plan and click on the Reveal Hidden Elements button, ZE, that's the little blue light bulb, this right here. And then you'll have to type ZE for zoom extents so we can see the whole thing. It's at a different scale. But you can see right here, we've got basically there are 2 objects right here that are usually right on top of each other. The little X is the project base point, and that's really what we're going to be lining our AutoCAD drawing up with. And the other one, which we're never going to deal with, is how is this building oriented towards true north? Our building happens to actually have true north straight up. So what can we do? But if it were angled a little bit, we play with this one to get it. So we see it this way, but when it gets down to a site plan, it might be rotated some. So ignore it. Interior designers have no use for that at all. So that's the point we're aiming for, the project origin, right down there. So we can close that back out and get back into our level 1 plan. The first thing I want to do is bring in the AutoCAD drawing. And I don't know if you downloaded the first one that Keith sent out, early AutoCAD drawing. Well, it had the base plan of the building plus the ground floor for a ranch house with cars and bathrooms and electrical outlets and stuff. So I got rid of all that and moved the whole American Life building so its center was right at the origin of the AutoCAD drawing. Done that for you. So it's all cleaned up and ready to just drop into place. So if we go to Insert, I'm going to import it. To link it would mean that every time Revit loads, it's going to go try to look for that to display it. We're going to be emailing these around. We won't know where they are, but when we import it, it's truly in the drawing, just like a family is in the model. So go to Import CAD, and I'm going up to so I'm here in my American Life folder, and the only drawing there is DWG file. It's called American Life Building Cleaned Up or something like that. Okay. So when you click on that, you got a couple of choices. And one is just sort of working left to right. I want to display this only when I'm looking at level one. I don't want to have to keep appearing as I go up and up and up. We're going to create stuff in level one that we'll copy on up, but we don't want to keep that reappearing. So we check this. And then when it says colors, these are light lines in the AutoCAD drawing, and they're hard to read against the Revit white screen. But if we turn them black, they're going to be hard to tell from the Revit lines. So I would change these to invert. So if it was light, it'll make it dark. If it was red, it will make it blue, something like that. And then just pay attention here. We're just going to take the origin of the AutoCAD drawing, which is right in the middle, and line it up right with the origin of the Revit drawing. So it's right in the middle. So we just leave that one right there. And the others should all be fine. Open. Think. Okay. We won't be using it a great deal. We'll be turning it off pretty soon. This is not the core. The core is a PDF that we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. Now that this is here, I don't want it moving around. So I'm going to select it and pin it in place. Oh, actually, when they come in, they're pinned already. Don't have to do that. If you had to move it around, you could unpin it and move it around, then pin it again. But when you see the pin mark, you select it and see the pin mark show up, you can tell that it's locked in place. And in fact, if I drag it, I can't drag it around. A lot of times when you're working on a floor plan, it's a real pain. You think you're windowing a bunch of furniture, but you're actually picking the floor with that first click. So if something is pinned, over here under modify, you can say select pinned elements or don't select them. If you check it, then you can come back and select the thing. And I found it a little frustrating over the past 2 days because everything was in flux. I wanted to be able to pick things and change them, but then picking them sometimes happened, the wrong thing would be picked. So I keep switching back and forth, and we'll see if we can work that out. But for right now, we want this guy to be pinned and I guess selectable just so we can see that we've got him. So we all here at this point? It's good. Okay. Next, I would like to put all the columns in. And there are actually columns here as well on these intersections that didn't make it into this plan. So the thing about columns in Revit, if I just place a column and then come along and add some grid lines, the column doesn't know it's supposed to be associated with those guys. But if you do the grid lines first and then come back and you'll have a little X to place the column, it will know, oh, I'm at the intersection of those two guys. If you move a grid line, all the columns on it will move. If you move a vertical grid line, all the columns on it will move. So we definitely want to get the organizing grid lines in first and then start putting the geometry on top of them. So that's here in architecture, grid all the way down, right there. Okay, grid. Okay, good. And I'm just going to use the AutoCAD lines. I'm just going to, click onto the endpoint of this line and just come down. I want to come straight. I don't want to be off at an angle, straight down the bottom of the building. All the way out past the bottom of the building. Okay, now it's let's say traditional to have the bubbles going across the top. So I could have started down here and go up and it would have done it, but done it this way, I can just select this and say, uncheck this to turn the bubble off at this end, and then go up and check to turn the bubble on at that end. And we do know that this is 42 feet, column to column. So instead of going through that again, it's easier just to copy this one. So I'm going to select that, select it, copy, and click anywhere. Or I can click on the line and just come over to the next line straight. I'm not going up or down at all. Straight, straight, straight. And notice that it's incrementing them as well. Excuse me? That's as far as we go. That's the outside of the building. Okay, let's imagine that this guy ended up over here for some reason. I didn't get over to that line. I would pick the move tool. Or sorry, I pick it, choose move, select it with the X, meaning I'm actually picked on it, and then just come straight over, which is where you get that little blue line saying I'm orthogonal, and then click it into place. Yeah. If you remember, when I drew this one down here, it put the bubble at the end of the line. So for these top ones, let's just change a pace. Let's start over here and end up over here, and that'll just put the letter on, or the next number. So architecture, grid. So here, click on one end where it's giving that little square indicating it's an endpoint. Come on over out here somewhere. Just as long as you're level, it doesn't matter. We don't have to click the endpoint of the AutoCAD drawing. And you'll see that made number 5 since the last one we made was number 4. So to repeat about where the bubbles go, if I decided I wanted this bubble to be over here, I can select the line, uncheck display of the bubble at this end, check display of the bubble at that end, and they just switch back and forth. So sort of a world standard for building grids is to have numbers going across the top and alphabets coming down the side. So it's sort of like playing Battleship. You could say, oh, that wall that's near column grid A1, and just go right over and find it, instead of saying, walk down the hall 20 feet and whatever. Okay, so we're going to change this guy. I guess click twice in there, and we can change that to a capital A. And now when we copy this one down, it'll go BCD. So select, copy from here, where I've got a connection. It's not just a random point in space. Down to there. Oh, I thought it would go farther. Oh, that was a move. Sorry, wrong button. Copy from here. So it can be anywhere on that line, straight down to there, straight down to there, straight down to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. And sometimes, for instance, it could be that you wanted to set up an intermediate grid for this line here and line here. Like if those were going up through the building more, you might call that grid point 1.1 and the other one 3.1, just to sort of indicate that they're minor axes within the larger framework, but still where they are. Okay, so we have these guys, and we'll notice that at this point, I want to turn off the AutoCAD drawing. So we can pick that, right click, hide in view element. Now we're back down to just this building. Well, you're the fastest class I've ever done this assignment with. So, okay, let's place some columns on these grid intersections. Let's just go up here up to the intersection A1. We've got 2 kinds of columns in Revit. We have structural columns, which are true wide flange I-beam shapes. It's not what we're doing. That's inside somewhere, but we don't know how big or anything. What we're doing is architecture column architectural, just so we really know what's going on there. And as luck would have it, it comes with the 24 by 24 foot. This is one of the reasons I picked this template. Comes with this one already. So we'll pick that guy, 24 by 24. And see, a couple things here. See, moves with grids. We've got that checked. If I do to adjust my grid, like it's 43 feet, we want it to go. Room bounding means when we go around to putting rooms, if there's a column that 2 walls come, we want Revit to treat that column as a wall when it's defining the shape of the room, but just leave them both checked. And then we'll just come over here and just place it, and you'll see it'll just snap into place. Pink. And let's just test that moving thing. Grab yourself a column grid and move it, and there goes the column with it. Nice. And this one, just as long as we're here, yes, Control Z. Obviously, with 16 columns, it wouldn't be hard to just place them. But let's imagine this is like a train station and there's 80 columns in a row or something or other, some distance apart on this column grid. I am going to pick this guy and copy it. It's easier for me to see if I just pick from line to, if I get in there, it's like, what am I picking in there? Here, it's clear I'm just picking a line and going horizontally over to there and horizontally over to here and horizontally over to here. Make sure you got that little blue line telling you that it's horizontal. Now, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do that 4 times, let alone 80, I'm going to copy all 4 of those at the same time, down 42 feet at a time. So I'll just create a window around these, click and drag. So you see all of them highlighted. And it's when you're doing that, it's useful to see if they're all the same thing, then what they are will show up here. If one was something different, you'd get just a blank there, or it's say mixed. So there I pick all of those. Again, that's just click and drag to window them. And then I'm going to copy them from this line straight down to this line, straight down to this line, straight down to this line. We're setting the stage for a lot of future work right here. And if one of these is 2 inches off, it's going to come back and bite us on the butt. So this is a time to make sure these are just as good as we can make them. Even though Revit can adjust and all that kind of stuff, it's really good to do that. And I want all these guys to stay in exactly their same place. I don't want the grids to move. I don't want the columns to move. I'm going to window all of those and pin them. So I don't have to worry about accidentally picking them and moving them. Now, pin doesn't mean I can't change their height and stuff. It just means I can't move them around in plan. Let's take a 3D view here. Okay, let's give these columns a little height. Let's get into a 3D view, or just default 3D view. Not very big. But you see, if we pick one, we can set that, because there's really only 2 levels, there's level 1, only one above that is a roof. That's where it defaults to going to. And we don't know how high this roof is. Let's imagine that if it's 5 floors up and they're each 15 feet average, maybe it's 75 feet up in the air, that first roof before we get to before we do the penthouse. So to make all of these guys go up, they're already linked to the roof. We just need to move the roof up to make them longer. So let's get in. We can come right in here. And if you double click on the 12'8", you can make that 75 feet. Which is, it's about right for that building. And you'll see these are all starting on that first level, which is, the level of the platform. Let's get into this south elevation view for a second. And I really would like these grid lines to stick out through the top of the building. So if I go here and pick it and just grab it right here, you can see this line. That means these guys are all connected. So if I grab it here on this circle and pull it, sorry. Oh, I locked them. I locked them too early. I locked them short. So let's do this. Let's select this guy. If I thought this out clearly, but this gives you a sense of how you go back and forth doing stuff. So I pick one, right click, select all instances, an entire project, and I'll unlock them just to get this done right. And now I can drag this on the button and up they go. And we'll stick them out through the top of the building. So that's looking from the south. If we then look like from the east, I'll see that these guys are short. And I can select one of them and drag those guys all up. This is the grabbing point right here. But you can just drag them up wherever you need them to be. There are those. Now if I get into my 3D view. Okay, so now here's my point. What's going on? We have our levels defining horizontal planes. We have the grid lines defining these vertical planes. So we're setting up like a 3D matrix, I guess is the cool word, 3D matrix. Let's go to our first floor plan. And if you remember, what we have there is that there's a glass wall around here, which you measured, if you remember, at 12 foot 9 inches. It was 12 foot 9 inches from this line here to the outside edge of that wall, is what the measurements came back from Keith with. So what I want to do, I want to set up some reference planes. If you remember reference planes, we have them here as well, that will define the rectangle of that box of the glass wall. And we're just going to use a regular 5-inch wall for this. We're not going to worry about the mullions right now. But here's what I'm going to do it. RP for reference plane. So there's that. And what we know is from here to the outside edge of that glass curtain wall was 12 foot 9, which you guys should measured. So I'm just going to do move horizontally 12 foot 9, or maybe it was 9.5, I forget which. We know from the interviews and that the center lines of these walls are exactly multiples of 7 feet. So I'm going to just put in a 5-inch wall with its outside edge right along here and just see how those line up. So architecture, wall, and most of those curtain walls are 5 inches wide, and that we can just sort of replace this one here, curtain wall. And right now, I'm just going to draw the wall and then move it so its outside face is right on that reference plane. So we have this, no, from this inside edge of this to there. That's what was measured. That's what came back to us. It's not quite perfect yet. What we're trying to find, because all of his buildings work on the center line of walls, is what's the distance from this grid center line to this wall center line. And that's what will actually determine this exactly. So just bear with me. So I'm going to use dimension again from this center line to that center line. And we get 1311.5. So what we know is that it should have been 9.5, which will make that exactly 14 feet. So I can just pick this wall, change this temporary dimension to 14, and there we are. And that's exactly where that needs to be. Okay. So at this point, I can get rid of this reference. This was just a positioning device. Delete. And I want to do the same thing up here. Reference plane. And we know this, I'm just going to set this down. Oh, you know how I can do this? I can do this way. I can move that up there. Then move. Wait, to pick it, I need to then hit tab to click, move 14. So now that's there. Now I can place a wall along that center line. And my 5-inch wall, it's set up to the 2 points I pick will be on the center line. So I can do this. And now I have 2 walls where I want them. And because this building is so symmetrical, I'll be able to mirror those about the midpoint and pick up the others. So let's first of all use the trim command to join these two. TR for trim. TR, click and click. But you notice we don't actually have anything to mirror around yet. What I want to do is to set up two permanent reference planes right down the middle and right across there so that we can always have them to do all these mirroring operations with. So how am I going to locate something? Well, I've got that point right in the middle. Can I just see that here in this? I can. So I'm going to start a reference plane, snaps right to it, drag that out through the top of the building. I'll do another one here. RP. Go out this way. Now I've drawn, those are actually sort of hidden, but if I go back here, they'll show up again. So these are my two center lines, and I'll drag this out. I'll drag this out. Oops. And then not surprisingly, I want to lock them as well. Can't see that line. Well, you. Too many dots. Okay. From center to center is 14. And these are all multiples of 7 foot, just so you know. So instead of going through that rigmarole of all that kind of stuff, I can just mirror this line about here. So pick it, mirror about a line, pick that center line. Pick this guy, mirror about the horizontal one. And then I can trim these, use the trim tool to join them at the corners. Okay. So that's a first floor only wall. Remember, that's set in, and then the building comes out and goes up from there. You want to see an even easier way to do this? Okay, let's get rid of these guys. I know I need a box of a 5-inch wall, and I want it 14 inches in from the outside edges. Think the Revit way, draw it first, and then make it accurate. So let's use the wall tool, architecture, wall. I'm just going to draw a box. I won't even get near those guys. It is here somewhere. Oh, this is so much easier. Okay. Oh, this is good. This is very good for me. Okay, now we fix it. Now we know that they're 14 inches center to center from the outside grid lines. So we just come down here. DI from center line to center line. Place the dimension. Then we can pick the wall and change the dimension to 14 feet. Pink. That's easy. Grid line to center. Pick the wall. 14. Oh, this is so much better. Thank you. Thank you for making me realize the error of my ways. See, this really is revise it. You get something and then you make it what you want it to be, as opposed to sort of the AutoCAD way, which is make it perfect to start with. Because in AutoCAD, dimensions don't control geometry. They just tell you where it is. You can't just change a dimension and have things move around. Okay, last one. Oh, all four sides. Much better. And then you pick the wall, pick the dimension, type what you want. And actually, you can come back next week and fix these walls. So what I want to do now is to create a level 2. So we can just get into any elevation view. Create a couple. Rename it, sorry. I made a level 2 and deleted it, and it just kept on adding numbers. So level 2, let's say at 18 feet. Now I'd like to go to my level 2 floor plan and start putting the outside walls around, but I don't have a level 2 floor plan. Okay, that's where we go to view plan views. I want to create a floor plan for it, and it will list floors that don't yet have a plan associated with them. So level 2, and it'll just pop right there as soon as I hit OK. So now I can go to level 2. Let's go to level 2. Second floor walls are a foot thick, also on the center line. And it turns out we can go to, so we're on the second floor level. We'll say architecture, wall architectural, and here we use the 12-inch wall, generic 12-inch. And we're just going right around the building. We're not stopping for the columns. They will break the wall. We can just go from corner point, from grid intersection to grid intersection. Just making the square right on the column intersection lines. And you can see what that looks like. It cleans up nicely where they intersect. Now you would think, or you might think, that we need to do a low wall and then a row of windows and then a low wall and a row of windows. We don't. The walls of this building go from the ground to the roof. These walls go from the second floor up to the roof. So we can pick these 4. Click, control click, control click. And tell them that instead of going from level 2 up to an unconnected 14 feet, we can say, make their top constraint be the roof, offset nothing, and up they go to the roof. And here are 3 different ways I can pick these guys. I can go click, control click, control click, control click. Or since they're all connected, I can hover over one of them without clicking, hit tab. It'll find all the ones that connect end to end, and then click, and that will select them. Or I could say, since these are the only 4 12-inch walls in the building right now, I can select one, right click, select all instances in this view, and that will pick them by what they are as opposed to anything geometric. In any case, I'm going to pick all 4 of them. You can use whatever method you want and say, just take them up to the roof with no offset. Oh, I take it back. These walls are flush at the outside. These are 24-inch wide walls, not 12. I mean, if you look at them, they're the face of the inside and out. The face of the columns is flush with the face of the wall. So we need to make a 24-inch wall. This full of structural stuff out there. So here's what we do. We pick this one, edit type, duplicate, generic 24. That's its name, okay. Then we edit the structure to be 2 feet. Okay. Okay. We can pick this one and then use the match properties tool, or just type MA and pick, match properties, pick, 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 and they all come up. That sort of hides these guys, which I have to work through, but we'll see how this goes. Now I'd like to put a floor in here. Second floor, floor, architecture, floor, and we'll pick architectural floor. And we don't really know what its structure is, but I'm just going to use a 4-inch concrete slab. That's close. And now I'm doing this floor. I can just make this one great big rectangle. Inside, yeah, they come up to the wall. Now there's a chunk that's cut out for that, for all those stairwells and that kind of stuff. And that information is all in the PDF that we got. I need to go back to the level 1 so we can insert that PDF image that we just downloaded that has what goes on in here on the first floor. And we'll just get close, not getting it perfect. And that's a PDF. So we imported the CAD drawing and placed it here. We don't have a centering device for the PDF, and we don't know how big it is. So we're going to have to expand it to be, that's 126 feet column to column, and then place it in place. So 2 steps here. We go to Insert, Import PDF. Again, we want to bring it into our project file, not separate somewhere. And that's the core only PDF. And here it is. We don't know how big it's going to be, but I do want to get we have a choice here of what its image resolution is going to be, and I want that to be pretty like 300 dots per inch, so it's not just all pixelated. So say 300. And then okay. And we'll just stick this out here somewhere. And as you can see, that's way too small. We need to fix it. So I'm going to drag it kind of big. The deal here is to draw a line. We can just go to Annotate, Detail Line. And to draw a line right from where these darkest lines intersect, coming straight across till we get to the center of this batch over here. That's just, and it won't be right on the same line perhaps, but I need to be coming across horizontally. We're just doing line, just one line. And then so we can see that line, I want to pick it and right click and say override graphics in view by element and make it like a bright red or purple or something. And I just want a color that I can really see. And if we want, we can change its weight up to something fat just so we can see it a little better. We did this a little bit with the Lexington building. What I want to do is take both of these and scale them so that this line becomes 126 feet, which then makes the building be 126 feet. Okay, right now this line is 69 feet, something or other. Just to see what that line is. I mean, the way this is scaled, it's some long dimension. But we know that it goes right from this grid line to this grid line. So I pick them both. I'm going to scale them both so that from here to here becomes from here to here somewhere, and the building goes along with it. So we select them both, pick the scale tool, indicate it down here at the bottom left. It says click to enter origin. Down there, once I move there. So we say that's where we're starting. That's where we're going. And I want it to be 1, 2, 6. Think. If you accidentally pick this as well, the scale thing won't work because you can't scale that thing. And so it just won't be available to you. And with those in place, I can pick this line now and we'll see that it's 126 feet long. And that's what we're after. And presumably this image hasn't been stretched or skewed or anything. If it's square, it's square. We'll see. Our building entrance is down here, right? In this drawing, the building entrance is here. So before I place that, I think I'll rotate it so that these doors are on the bottom side. So I'm going to select it, rotate it 90 degrees. So now that our line is here, I want to move it from this point up to here, move them together. Move. End point of the red line to midpoint there. On our level 1 plan, these are the shafts that go from the mechanical rooms in the basement all the way up through the roof and blow out. Same sort of thing going on over here. I'm not going to worry about the plumbing walls or anything, just the big rectangle. Let's just draw them, and then we'll fix them. So architecture, wall, and these will be 8-inch block walls. Let's just say 8-inch generic right now so we don't deal with patterns. And it's hard to know where this, we'll do center lines. Let's draw a rectangle that goes from sort of the center of this right here. We're estimating, yes, because we're just going to fix them because they're all on this 7-foot module to down here. Quickly recap, now that we have the PDF in place, I want to just trace these two essentially shafts that go from at least the first floor, probably out from the basement all the way up through to the roof. They won't be like wall piece, wall piece, wall piece. They will be it's a shaft from the floor straight on up. I mean, this is the elevator obviously is a shaft, from the basement up to the penthouse, and same with these. Okay, so we're just going to accept that those are there. These also go from the first floor all the way up through to the roof. So to select these 4, I'll hover over one of them, hit Tab, and then click. Hover, Tab, click. And then they go from level 1, 0, up to the roof. Same thing with the others. Hover, Tab, click, up to the roof. One last thing for the remaining minute. If we go to level 2, we created that floor, remember? Well, right now that floor goes right through these shafts, which is not what we want it to do. So what we're going to do is hover over this edge and then tab until I can pick the floor. Bink. And then what I want to do is edit its boundary. Remember, here's this purple boundary. And if I put a rectangle inside it, that becomes a cut out of it. Let's do it on both. Yeah, we'll deal with the other stuff later. Yeah. Hover, you can see, hover and tab, you can see where it's been cut away. Hover, tab, click. So floor, no floor. So the last thing I want to show you, I need to add some levels. East. You don't need to do this. Okay, I have added I've got levels 2. I've got a floor here with a hole in it on level 2, and I've got 3, 4, and roof. I'm going to go to my 3D view and pick the floor that's on 2, this is a very important tool and concept. I'm going to pick the floor, which I can do that in any view. Here I am in a wireframe view. Here's my level 2 floor. I'm going to copy it and paste it to selected levels, meaning 3, 4, and roof. Okay. It will just copy them to where those levels are. And you see this floor comes up with the holes cut in it already. And once we put windows in, we'll do the same thing with them, get them on the second floor and just pop, bring them up to the other floors. So that's all any of us have the energy and time for. I know this has been kind of a painful day, but what we've done is get an accurate base plan into our Revit model. We've got grids, we have the center lines, we can mirror things around, because so much that happens on the left side of the building happens on the right side as well, from top to bottom, north to south. We've extended some things from the ground all the way through the roof. We've copied things. And we don't have to say copy this up 37.6. We just say copy it from this level to this level to this level to this level. And then when we move those levels, the floor levels will go, the boards will go through. Save this, call it class 14 demo or something or other, and we'll keep on working on it. Mr. Gillis, my brain is full.